Hi guys, I just wanted to do a quick video about emulators. So I wanted to show some of the emulators that I picked up and give some of my tips and advice if you're looking to pick up an emulator yourself and what sort of things to look out for. So I've got a few different ones here. One I've got here is a handheld. So this is the Anbinic 351P. I've got a game sort of loaded up there just to show you. So that's the screen quality is very nice. So you get a very good image on there, and I find that PlayStation 1 especially looks very nice on there because it's a very small screen, but it's got really good resolution and actually looks better than when you're playing it on the large screen. So I think that's very cool. It comes preloaded with quite a few games, but then you've got the SD card there in the bottom that you can pop out and add your own ROMs on. So it's really good to add your own stuff. So this is the RG351P, which I think is a very nice model, but there are other models out there. I think there's been more released since I got this one, so there's probably a really nice range of them out there now. It plays very, very well, and it's really comfortable as well to hold. The shortcuts and everything work very well, so you've got a shortcut for save states, for load states. You can also fast forward certain games as well on certain platforms, and it's a really good one. I'm definitely approve these sort of ones. They're very fun, and yeah, I definitely get the most use out of this actually. I use this probably more than some of the other ones, probably because it's a handheld, but also that it just is quite smooth. I've not had any issues with any of the games that came preloaded, I would also add. So I've not played all of them obviously because there's quite large games lists, but yeah, that's definitely been a good one for me. Another good one to have really is your phone. Mobile phones work as very good emulators. Also you can use things like the AntStream is quite a good site. You can sign up to that, and I think there's an app you get, and you can play lots of games that are online there. And there's also score challenges and things like that you can engage with others on. So what I'd recommend for that sort of thing is, as fun as it is playing a mobile phone, I'd recommend something like this. So this one is an iPega controller, and it's quite nice. I would show you my phone, but I'm using it to record. You stick your phone in there, and you can literally clip it in and out, and it locks in place. And it's Bluetooth, so nothing is actually plugging into the phone. You Bluetooth to your phone, and then you've got all the keys you need. And actually, that, as you can see, is quite comfortable to hold. It's quite big, but it fits your screen in there. You can extend that if you've got, say, a tablet. If you want to play that on a tablet or one of those chunkier notebook phones, yeah, but these are a good find. So look out for things like this. This is an iPega controller, but if you search for Bluetooth controllers for mobile, you'll probably find ones that have that bit where the mobile can actually fit in. There are quite a few. You get a normal control pad that then has the clip on top, but for me, I really enjoy playing one of these. Another one that I've got here is this is called an Elite. This is from Pi Retro Gaming. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about Pi Retro Gaming if you're familiar with them. I don't want to sort of, they're a bit controversial maybe. I don't want to upset anyone that either supports them or isn't happy with them. But I'll explain briefly. I personally have not had an issue with them. I ordered the device, I received the device. Whenever I've messaged them, they have replied, and I've had responses back on some faults. However, I have seen from the group chats that a lot of people didn't receive their orders, a lot of people complained, and a lot of people didn't get answers to things very quickly. I think they've had some problems with their manufacturer and dispatching, and I think there's a few personal issues happening, some of the staff and things like that, which I don't know enough about to discuss. So I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to get involved in that. But the reason I brought this one up is because of how it runs. The product itself is very cool, and there's an app. I think the app's still available. At this stage, I may not recommend actually ordering a console from them because they do appear to be having a bit of an issue with the backlog, and there's other providers out there that will do a similar thing. But the idea of the app they have is very good. So you go onto this device, and the interface looks very similar to Netflix or something, or Amazon Prime, but it's games. And the games aren't pre-installed. You download the game from the app. So you find a game you want to play, and you download it, and then it runs. Now the cool thing about that is they've been able to keep updating the app and then make changes and update the ROMs. So if there's certain ROMs that don't work, they'll go in and try and fix them, and then you can download updates, and there's different themes, and it's quite an intuitive thing. And the main thing I like about it is I've got the same app on my phone. So there's a game that somebody mentions to me in passing, if I'm chatting to somebody about games, and they say, oh, have you ever played this game? So you don't know, let me check see if it's on my app. I open up the app, I find it, I add it to my favourites. Then later, when I boot up the console, I can go to my favourites and it's still there because it's the same profile. So I kind of find that pretty cool myself. The only downside is when you choose a game you want to play, you then have to download it. So there's a bit of a wait time. which is, a complaint of modern games. You find a game you want to play, you've got to wait for it to download. You don't normally get that with retro, but in this instance you do. So there is that, but beyond that, and the other issue, which is one of the reasons I bought another RetroPie device to replace this, just in case, is sometimes the app goes down or is not available, and there have been times when the app's been unavailable for several days before coming back. I just left it and then come back to see if it's there. So there is that, but enough on that one. Another device I've got this is like your standard RetroPie. This is what a lot of them really are. You can see it's got like the little SD card in there, which has all the actual system files and one actually runs it. And then all the games, so that doesn't look like much, but this has got the most amount of stuff in it. All the games are just on your standard USB external hard drive. And this has got absolutely loads of games. It's probably got about 50,000, I think, games on here, which I can put on my other devices that I've got if I want to update them and things like that. Only downside to this one is the interface. I didn't enjoy that much. It's just lists of games. So if you're looking for something, you go, oh, is this game on there? You can do a search and find it and play it. But if you're just having a browse, it's not great for browsing games to see what's out there. And I'd say the same for this device. It does have little preview images from scraping where you sort of download the images, and not all of them are accurate. But it doesn't tell you much about the game. You just got to find it from a list and think, oh, that sounds interesting. Whereas the app from PRG gives you a bit more information about the game. You can see like a preview on there, and I prefer that as an interface. Now, speaking of interfaces, I actually think the best one is the Super Console X Pro. I do recommend this one. This one's really good. I bought one with a smaller games list, but again, it's got the SD card on there, and I've got my hard drive from the other console, so I can, put the SD card on my hard drive into the computer and move some files around and add to the list and get more games that I want onto here. And I think the interface of this one, you have little previews of the game, some of them little preview videos. It's much easier to find something cool that you might not have known about when you're just stumbling across a game from searching through. So I do recommend that one. As far as controllers are concerned, a lot of them will come with controllers, obviously, but you can get a lot of USB controllers and external things. This is an example of one. So this is the Game Sir, or Game SIR. Not sure how you pronounce that one, but again, very similar to a PlayStation controller. It's fairly, hefty. It's pretty good. That maps absolutely fine, and no issues there. Personal favourite is one that comes with the Super Console X Pro. Got two of these. They are almost indistinguishable from a PlayStation controller, and they're quite light. I've seen comments before where people said, "Oh, the controllers are light," but other than that, they're okay. Personally, I quite like a light controller. It's I find it quite comfortable to play with. Some people prefer controllers to be a bit heavier and sturdier, but I quite like these. I think these are very good. And again, some of the perks of emulation is you can do the save states and you can do fast forwards. They've all got the same sort of similar shortcut keys to the RG351P that I've got as well. So these work really well on the Super Console X Pro. Now, the only thing I would say is I don't really like playing N64 games on an emulator because I'm playing with one of these, and that's not how N64 games are meant to be played, really. I don't find it. Yes, they can work, but N64 emulation is not the best. The one system, because this has come up as well on the PRG application, is they did add Sega Saturn. Now, this device doesn't play the Sega Saturn games very well, and neither does my phone, but if you have got an NVIDIA Shield, apparently that is one of the best things for emulation. I do not own an NVIDIA Shield, so that's second-hand information. I've not seen it firsthand, but apparently it's one of the few devices that can play the Sega Saturn and GameCube and things like that emulation a lot better. But when I'm playing emulators, I'm generally playing SNES, Mega Drive, that sort of thing, NES games, and some of the more older consoles, but mostly, anything between like Mega Drive and PS1. But I'll dabble in some of the older stuff as well. But so for N64, I would recommend going for one of these. This is the N64 Supercart. And again, it's got your SD card in there with your ROMs on, but you just plug that into an N64. I believe there are versions of this cartridge for lots of other consoles as well. I think there's one called the EverDrive for the Mega Drive, which also looks quite cool, but I've already got a very vast Mega Drive collection on my emulators, and they run fine for me. So, if you are looking to get an emulator, there's loads out there. The first thing I would say if you're playing emulator games is to firstly set your expectations. There will be some games that won't work properly. You will have things bug and crash. You're not playing the original game, you're playing a ROM. So try not to get frustrated or disheartened if some stuff doesn't work that you're hoping to play. You can always go and try and find another ROM from a ROM site or from something else and try and get that to work. I found I've got multiple devices here, and some games will not consistently work on all of them, but at least one of them will have a version of the game that does work. So there is that. If you're looking to buy an emulator, one thing I'd be wary of is just the high number of games, because the first thing that could grab your attention is, boom, this has got 50,000 games in it, it's got 40,000 games in it. I don't know why I went down rather than up. It's got 60,000 games in it. If it's got a really high list of games, that may very well be bloated. You're going to get a lot of repeats, and you're going to get a lot of versions. So you might get the Japanese version, the American version, the European version on the Mega Drive, and then all the same again on the SNES, and then on the PC Engine and things like that. So you're not necessarily getting that many games, you're getting lots of repeats. And then you might have like different slight variation versions. I've got some things that have got so many versions of Street Fighter 2 that have such small differences you can barely notice what the difference in the game is. Yeah, that counts for possibly like 10, 20 versions or 20 games that are on your games list. So don't be bamboozled by the high numbers of games that are on there. Look at what games are on there and look at the comments and the reviews and the star ratings of those reviews to see what do people that have played it and have got their hands on it actually think of it. And as I said, my favourite so far has been the Super Console X Pro, and you can get the slightly more expensive version if you want the larger list. Other advice would be to back everything up. I have two hard drives with all my ROMs on now. So I've got this one, and I have another in case anything happens to this. So always a good idea to back up your ROMs. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty and add ROMs yourself. You don't have to do that, but I would recommend dabbling in it a bit. And there's loads of support out there online. I'm sure you'll be able to find people that know this stuff way better than I do. I'm just sharing a bit of my own experience, but there will be groups online where you can find advice on what to do if you have any problems with the system. And yeah, just join a group if you want to find some other advice or support on there. And that is really it. Those are all my emulators that I play, and I do find I get a lot of fun use out of it. And since joining a lot of different groups online and having people share gaming memories in the retro scene, I'm going, never heard of that game. I wonder if it's on my RG351P or on my Super Console X Pro. And I'll have a look for it and say, oh, there it is. And I can immediately play the game. I know it doesn't replace physical media and physical hardware, but it is a good way of trying to get access to all those games if you just want to play them. If you're a collector, that's fine. You collect what you want to collect, and you enjoy that hobby. But if you just want to play the games and you just want to get hold of them, emulators for me have been a really good way to be able to achieve that on a much smaller budget. I would say shop around for what you can find. Don't be afraid to go to places like Wish and AliExpress and the stuff that you can order from overseas with the long waits. Sometimes you see these adverts and it looks too good to be true, and you think, how am I going to get that much for such a small price? It is just if you're willing to wait for the arrival time, you may be surprised. So keep an eye out for things like that as well. Right, well guys, thanks for watching. I hope that you found this video helpful, and yeah, enjoy playing some games. Till next time.